John McCullough sent some notes out today and to Sherry, and I'd just like you to let you all know that we really appreciate your work. Things are moving, and we really appreciate the hard work that you've put into it, and hopefully the progress will continue at this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chuck. You told me you weren't going to be making any comments today. I'm glad there was an exception. Appreciate it. Nothing else from the peanut gallery? Okay. We'll start off with Michelle and minutes.
Yes, I just circulated before the meeting the minutes for the last meeting on June 2nd. I apologize for that delay. Due to that, I would recommend that we approve the minutes, either take a break today to look at them, or we approve them at the next meeting, whichever you prefer.
Since I had a lot of comments on it, Michelle, why don't we go ahead and shoot for next meeting? We can discuss the comments.
That sounds fine. Is that okay?
It's fine.
Okay. All right, the minutes will be under review and seek approval at the next meeting. Okay. New business. Kevin is out, just had 4 teeth extracted. So he'll be out for a while. I've asked him to be prepared to give a treasurer's report. He didn't have half of it that I wanted, although I think Don might be able to answer that question. Other half in our I didn't bring my email with me, but the Chesapeake account, has, I believe, $8,900 in it. That's based on the money we got from the EDA. I forgot I still have that message. $8,900 left in that account. And Don, do you know approximately off the top of your head how much we've got in the budget account?
In the county budget, what
County
you have
budget,
left? Yeah, I can tell you.
Actually, I have that on my phone, if I can pull it up onto the screen. No, I can't.
You've only used 40, you got 46,817 left.
46,817. Okay. I know where some of that's going to be going. All right. All right. Thanks, Don. One thing, do you want to, what Sherry said, but we talked about it. It's been asked that we consider going from 2 meetings a month to 1. When the authority was first formed, that was something we talked about early, that we would use the 2 meetings a month. If we got to the point we only needed 1, fine. If we were really busy, had to go every week, fine. What I believe we can propose is that if we are engaged in anything that we need that second meeting in a month, or even a third, we go ahead and schedule it and put it up on our website, as long as we get it up about 48 hours prior to the meeting that we're going to call, that'd be fine, because things could come up that we may need to do.
Is it 48 or 3 days? I thought we had a...
Yeah, Code of Virginia says 3 days.
Oh, it's 3
3
days?
days,
All
yeah.
righty, so 72 hours.
Okay.
All right, 3 days, so on Monday, basically Sunday if we could, we'll put it up that we're going to have a meeting that was not scheduled, it was an off week. All right, how do you feel about it? I hear a motion about going to, before that, we also need to know, when do you want this to start? In July with the next meeting? Because we're finished with June.
Yeah, the question is, I guess the question is, do we still want it the first?
The first or the third?
First or the third? Or second? I'm open to change on that.
So practically speaking, there's a lot of holidays that seem to be in the
Beginning.
beginning.
At the beginning of the month.
4th of July, Labor
Labor Day.
Day, Memorial Day, so the first week doesn't seem that good. The second week seems okay to me, and the third week, then you get into a lot of times like Thanksgiving holiday and that kind of thing. So I would think, my thought would be the second week, but I'm not.
As long as we're consistent, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care either. So if everybody's good with the second week of the month, that sounds great. And just so you know, when I proposed this, it wasn't so much that I thought that we were going to do any less work. It's really just, the Board of Supervisors only meets once a month.
Yeah, usually.
Usually. And they have, I think, even more on their plate than the LCBA. And so rather than spending the extra time meeting per se, we spend the time, get done what we need to get done, and maybe also put in place some other policies so that if somebody has to present something or has put something together, that we all get it 3 to 5 days before that meeting, you know? Because then we would have an opportunity to look at it, come prepared, and our meetings would be more efficient.
Plus,
don't need to-
some questions could be made
Yeah,
interim.
right. I mean, we're constantly talking behind the scenes all the time anyway to get things done. But that was the purpose for going down to 1 a month. It just seemed more practical. So it sounds like everybody's on board.
Yeah.
I hear the
Okay.
motion.
I make a motion to set our meetings for, now, I guess the time is also up in there. Is 4:30 still good for everybody?
It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. The second Wednesday of each month at 4:30 PM as a change in schedule,
Beginning when?
beginning as of, I don't know what the set
July.
time.
July.
July,
What?
what was it?
It'd be July 7th, because the 1st is a Thursday.
So
No,
14th.
no, it'd be 14th, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, it would be the 14th. The 7th is the first
Right.
Wednesday. Then,
Yeah.
put your glasses on, you can read the calendar.
I'll let you fill in the date, but,
It would be
It'd be July 14th.
14th.
okay.
In the 7th?
No, the 14th of July will be our next meeting. It'll now be the second week of the
Yeah.
month.
Yep.
Eh,
Yeah, so the 14th.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, I will write an article. We have to notify the public. It'll be on the
You
website.
can put it on the website and then
I'll
on
send
rap
it-
record.
Yeah, that's why I said I'll write an article.
Yeah, we'll have to update the website anyway
Website.
because we already have it on there that's
Yeah,
twice a month.
update the
so.
website, and I'll write an article.
You all were the only board that I'm aware of that punishes yourself with
I
2
know
meetings
that.
a month.
I've addressed a couple of those other boards, and it's only once.
Not to mention, I'll have more time to get the report to you.
Speaking of which, we're off Friday, so I need it by noon tomorrow.
I knew you were. I knew it. So it'll be on my last minute run.
Now she won't quit. She's got a reprieve. Okay, well, and the last part of this, and I have one more thing I forgot to put on here, is a FYI, but who will present at next week's BOS public meeting, Michelle?
I actually can.
Okay, good.
All right, you heard it here first, Don.
All right. And you'll get that to me by tomorrow at noon, right?
I will.
He wants it for his notebook.
Well, and I'm gonna start happy hours Friday at noon just to celebrate, or tomorrow too.
He'll set you up with some dark and stormies.
One thing, just a point of information I forgot to put on, it's no action item or anything. As you know, Don, we've gotten emails that come in, people want more specific information. I know you responded to that one gentleman. So what I did, I called Bill Newborg and say, look, Bill, the way we're looking at Batty, because it's 4 counties, we're looking at articles that they would come up with that would affect all 4. I said, which is fine. I said, but we have an obligation to the citizens of Lancaster. So please, give me a paragraph that says something about where you are. You're into design. Explain that design takes 3 months, a day, 9 years, whatever, so people have an idea of what's happening. No details. They don't want specifics, which I agree with, because it could be delays in certain things. But I said I'd like to have it for the next issue, which, for next week's meeting, paper. So he says he thinks he can get something together for that. I also sent a note to Jimmy Carr of APB about a week ago. He had put out about us signing that MOU along with Middlesex, but only on the Dominion and APB website. Nothing, though I'd asked, went to the rap record or anything else. So I said, could we make the little change here? We'll all collaborate, as we said we would on the articles. Nobody will put anything out they don't see. But I said, we have an obligation here, and we can't just wait 6, 8, 10 weeks till you feel like maybe there's something. He said, if we get anything that we're working Lancaster, he will give it to us, and they will be in the rap record, so we can collaborate on that. But we'll be able to put something out a little bit more and not have to sit at the convenience of a PB and a BB. So it's
Yeah.
just sort of FYI at this point. We need to get more information out. to the
But I
public.
did add information to the website
You-
for
and that
people
was- That
to,
gentleman
Yeah,
appreciated it.
that-
It was good.
That should be referenced in the RAP record.
Yeah, we'll put that, it's in there.
Because it doesn't go totally granular, but at least it has the brown areas of where the VATI projects, if your home lies within that, it's covered.
but there's even more information up on our website now.
Yeah.
So
We need to put that
you
point
can,
out.
you can go to APB, All Points Broadband has a link where you take a survey and it tells you if in the future they're going to be providing you service. There's also information about ABB, and you can go to their website. I think the important thing is that the internet service providers are the ones who are providing the service. So they're the ones who need to speak to the public as to whether they're going to be in their area or not. And now on the LCBA website, we've made that very clear.
Well, one reason I want to do the rap record, and you're right, is you put up what, that last thing was really very good, especially answered that gentleman's questions. But now we have people who don't have internet.
Right,
So,
right.
But your point is exactly what we need to do, is to tell them, go to the LCBA website for this. They can go to the library, go to a friend's, but at least it's, well, something's happening. You know, feel like we're doing something that they never see or hear that's happening behind the scenes. But that's exactly right. We should tell them those links are there. That's a very good point to put in the article.
You know, you could also pull down some of that information, because APB's ETC application to the Federal Communications Commission has all the detail in it that if we were going to do hard copies somewhere, that's a useful piece of information. It doesn't require anything from All Points Broadband. It's a public
Public knowledge.
document. I mean,
Exactly.
as well as all the FCC maps of the locations and the census blocks. And, I mean, for people who want to dig around and look at that stuff, I mean, the information's already available. And now we have it on our site, but if people don't have internet, then the library seems like a really good place. Because they can get it both on the internet at the library.
Or the smart pools.
Or the smart phones. Smart
Yeah,
phones.
well, the thing is, we want to make sure they know that it's out there.
Yeah.
Now, those who follow the website will see it. So let people know we're earning the no dollars we're getting. Oh. You have another comment?
That was a good line.
You heard Ernest said to me at the end of that meeting, I know you don't get paid. Okay, sorry, I forgot to put that on, but anyway, I wanted you to know that's something I'm looking at. And I also mentioned to Bill Newborn, marketing plan for you guys. We'll work with you. So we'll get on that. Okay. Old business. Oh, I don't know if it really is old. Nicholas, you want to start on the VATI?
Yeah, sure. So we had a call Monday with Vatty regarding the progress. APB, All Points, not All Points, Atlantic Broadband, ABB, is putting together their project plan and have all the milestones set. They don't have proof for them yet. So that's moving along, I guess, fairly well. There was some good news that we did receive from them, and that is that they're going to they see more of a GPON solution instead of what they call R5, which is radio frequency over glass. So they're getting away from the hybrid fiber coax type older technology and more towards a GPON. It's not ubiquitous, but they're seeing that they're going to start deploying more of that. How much in Lancaster County is yet to be determined, but over all the counties that they're working in, Bill said that seems to be more of a trend going to the all fiber solution, which is good news. They do have a blanket order for material, so hopefully there's going to be no issues with delaying due to material shortages. That's about it on the VATI right now.
Yeah. There were a lot of
It
good
is
news
moving
there.
forward.
Okay. I think you've got everything, you got all the high points. They did forecast, which I found interesting, they said 240 days from when they start, allowing no delays like make-ready polls or something else, or delivery. They think they can make their 18 months. But, and that's good news. They're looking for it. Their milestones, as Nicholas said, they've got their milestones and everything is working. But hopefully, and they feel very good about it. So we'll see. And there's going to be some delay for something.
Did they give you an idea when they will have the make ready and the contract signed and all that stuff?
The contract comes from DHCD.
Right.
What the paper, we have to submit the final paperwork by 14 July. Then DHCD will send out the contract, and then we have 90 days. So most of the paperwork is done. It was finished. We've given everybody a deadline of 1 July to make sure every piece of paperwork that's required is in. And the deadline is 14 July. We're over halfway there, three-quarters of the way.
So really, the starting point of the contract is at most 10/14.
Oh, no, 10/14, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I thought you were going to say 7/14, it was like, no. We even said it would probably be September, October before, because they're doing all the Batty contracts, so we're not going to.
And then we can add the quote-unquote 240, so basically now they're projecting to be done really by the end of 2022.
If they can make it, but they're going to be delays.
But I'm just saying
aggressive, but
as
they're
the plan.
trying to, yeah, they're admitting, they're trying to do it. So we'll see. But anyway, it's all moving, it's all moving.
Okay.
I don't think I have anything else from that meeting. You covered everything else, Nicholas. Okay. Yeah, the rest is just minutia.
I got a few things on there. I just have this, it's really a request, and I just want to get her approval for some, really, it's a software purchase. So Nicholas and I have been looking at some different things. We aren't fully done. Can you put over to the, so I can get my computer up?
Is this the slide that came out today?
Yeah. What? Well, no, I'm just saying,
I mean, do you want approvals today? You're looking for approvals today?
I would like to make a motion at the end of it. But and I'm inviting to try and get more as far as mapping needs. In other words, right now I'm put down, one of the things we need to still do is have fiber versus copper. We know where they are, but we don't have it on a map yet.
Can I ask you a question? How urgent is this? Or Nicholas, how urgent is this? I mean, when do you need to have this purchased by?
You might need to talk more in your mic.
Nicholas,
Yes.
I'd like to ask you
I'm
how,
still hearing you, Michelle.
you can't hear me?
That's a little bit better.
So maybe Gary can hand down the phone.
Oh, that's an idea. Your
What?
phone. So
Pass the
she can
phone.
speak to your phone.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
It's on.
Because remember, he's,
got it.
Okay, yeah.
hang on, Nicholas. Here you go.
So I would like to know how urgent it is to have this software.
Well, I think some basic software we will probably need to do some mapping of some of the information that we're getting from the other providers. Some of the stuff that Gary and I were looking at is pretty, it's expensive and way beyond the needs we need right now. For a building network, that would be more appropriate or not. That's why Gary's looking at some of the cheapest software that would be able to do some, upload shape files and manage some of the data and files internally.
Well, going with what Cherie was saying about one of the reasons for having a monthly meeting is so we can be better prepared and have reports and so forth. It seems to me if we're talking about, substantial amounts of money, some of which is listed here, that it would be good to have a report to review beforehand, unless for some reason it can't wait until the next meeting on July 14th.
Can I also address something here?
I'm just asking him because he's our executive director, and so I would like that. That's what I'd like the question answered, because this wasn't on the agenda, and this is one of these things of being able to prepare for a meeting. I apologized when I sent the last minute meeting minutes, because I have a situation where my house has blown up, essentially. So I would like the courtesy of having time to like really review it and think about it rather than this sort of last minute consideration of a major item.
Can I just add to that too? I mean, why do we need it? Would be part of the information we need too, because I want to make certain that, does LCBA need to be, does Lancaster County need to be paying for this? Or can we rely upon the providers to be doing the analysis and providing it to us, and they can bear the expense?
I understand your point, and that's definitely when you go to the higher level, more expensive ones. And I agree with that statement, that we probably would not need to do that. The reason for having simple software is, as we talked to Don, Glenn does not have the time to go ahead and do any mapping for us, okay? As we think of potential projects or things we want to know, that's great. You're right, we could go to the respective providers. However, you can't get information on other areas other than the provider's area from that. And then trying to merge that information together is virtually impossible until you have a piece of software to do that.
Okay, so it might be something that makes good sense, that the county has its own software that it can use and manipulate for whatever projects. But I guess back to Michelle's point, maybe you and Nicholas should get together and, I mean, because right now, I'm sort of in the dark about, and there'd be no way that I would be able to vote on anything that asks for even $2,000 to $5,000 based upon the information we have right now.
Okay, and the reason why we're bringing it up at this point, the end of the budget year is July 1st, correct? So what happens to any leftover money right now, Don?
It goes back into the general fund.
Okay, so it goes back into the general fund, not back to the LCBA. So the thought is to purchase this on last year's budget money, which is not expended at that point.
But you'll have new budget money beginning July 1.
But it's on next year's budget.
Okay, so this
we
is
also have
what
Chester.
I just hate about government budgeting, and we are a public corporation also, nonprofit corporation, and so I'd like to bring a corporate kind of mentality to this. Why, I do not want to spend money for the sake of spending money to use up our budget requests. You know, I mean, I think that if there is a need and we know we have the need immediately and you know it, then okay. But when you start considering, oh, we might not, we might need this, you know, I mean, I don't know, that's like how budgets get out
Wait a
of
second.
control. Agencies do that all the time. Let's spend all our money.
I think that's an unfair comment, and I'll tell you why.
No.
Because we have been saying we need software for a long time, okay? Well, and one of the reasons we went outside to pay someone else to do it was they weren't going to do it for us for free anymore.
That was $400.
I understand, but there's a lot of work in some of the things that we need to do. And we can't go back to that same person, again, because of sensitivity with other people.
Okay, but, so a couple clarifications. The budget year ends June 30th?
Yeah.
Okay. And today is the 16th.
Right.
I think I still have not heard why we need this. I do not understand. Maybe I'm missing something, maybe you all understand why we need the software. But I think that, Nicholas, maybe you could provide more detail with, and make a recommendation, what makes the most sense based upon specific uses for the software. I feel like I'm operating in a vacuum right now.
And wasn't it mentioned that one of these providers would be, we sat here and said, I forgot which one of these, Biari was one, and we said we weren't going to do it again.
Right.
And let them get the Biari. So that's off the table for us to purchase.
Right.
correct? Or,
Yeah,
lease,
I-
whatever.
it's not- yeah.
That's off the table for us to do. These others, I'm not familiar with. I understand GIS mapping, that's no problem. But I agree, I think the point is, for us to decide which ones we need and when we need it, that's the bottom line. I don't think we have any other major expense. I can only think of a couple between now and those are fine, that we know are coming.
So what is you're saying go with Esri?
Yeah, Esri is a GIS interface, so it makes it so it's easier to use. In other words, they provide an interface into a GIS package. There's some other ones, but Esri is the most common one used.
In order to go with Esri,
Yeah.
do you need to ever go to step 2?
Step 2 could, yes. The reason being it's a more sophisticated software
For
that
what
has different.
purpose?
Again, for separating out, in other words, you can measure, and I'm trying to get this fully clarified, but at least in polygons, what this performance of the internet is in each polygon. I want to make sure that we can get it on each point, okay? So we can know where there are difficulties in our county.
But are we sure that you can't get that information from the Federal Communication Commission and/or the providers in the area?
No, you can get what they are providing. This is actually taking measurements at the time when you do it, and you can see what the performance is, okay? Then that's going to be able to, you're able to sort out one of the things that we want to do is to be able to get gigabit service to everywhere. We need to understand where that is. Now, again, some people may be choosing lower packages, and that's one reason. We'll also be able to tell that by the speed testing and all the other things that you're doing. But this is a software that they have written that will capture. They use a company to do the measurements and integrate it into their system.
Gary, I'm just having a very hard time understanding why Lancaster County needs its own tools to measure internet speeds when there are providers in the marketplace and other regulators who have a requirement to ensure that the speeds that people have committed to are being delivered.
APB has stated 1 gigabyte.
So,
So why do we need to measure? It would seem like it would
I mean,
be
maybe
up
it
to
would be
them.
cool to have, but
No, well,
$30,000 is a lot of money. And who's going to be using this software? Nicholas, you're being awfully quiet here. Is this something you feel?
I don't think Gary's advocating, I mean, this is step 2. I think what he's advocating is step 1.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Esri.
So, and just to be fair, to echo Michelle's comments before, Gary and I had this conversation that we should not be, because we have money in the budget, we should not be spending it for the sake of spending it. So can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I mean, it's certainly not an exercise to spend this year's budget. But part of the issue of us not being able to manipulate and do our own data analysis is that when we do get data from the other providers, our funding partners, we might want to be able to look at differently than what they're going to provide to us. We might want to look at certain economic analysis. We may want to look at based on something from the building departments on where there's more money being spent in the economy. We may want to look at based on students from the school, information we get from the schools. That's kind of the information and data analysis and mining that the carrier probably won't give to us or do for us. So we could either hire that out, or we could have all these files, in our possession and be able to do the analysis that may be required. And even if the analysis isn't required, that we can retain and memorialize in the database that we have.
So,
And how much would it be to hire
Where's the
somebody
dump?
to hire, hire the work out, like you just said, as compared to buying the software ourselves?
Well, I think we've been using, Gary, if I'm not mistaken, BTS, Jeff's son. Is that correct?
Well, again, I'm just worried about the sensitivities of having
can't-
Tyler. Huh?
I was just going to say Cassie to ask her to move her thumb because I think it covers up the
Oh, I'm
speaker.
sorry.
Yeah.
That's good.
But we have not exhaustively looked at it, but 10 to 20,000 for the amount of work done is probably what I would expect a consultant to charge.
So the ESRI, do we have to have ESRI, the GIS mapping, that one?
That's what we believe. And as I said, I put 2 to 5, but it's depending on what packages, and quite frankly, we need to review what packages. You know, it can start as low as 2. I think we proposed roughly 2,700, but there's an advanced module, and quite frankly, I did not get through enough of it to say, yes, we want the advanced modules. That starts at 34 and went up to roughly $5,000.
Well, here's generally what I require when somebody comes to me and they want the firm to pay for either going to a conference or reading materials that are electronic, whatever, is to put together a case of why they need it and what it's going to be used for. And I just don't feel comfortable, based upon this brief conversation we're having here, that I could make an informed decision one way or another that this is worth the investment. So out of the existing budget, out of the new budget, frankly, I don't care. But if we're going to try and do this out of the existing budget, then I think that we need the proposal. What do you need? What do you need it for? How is it going to be used? And what's the cost? And you could circulate that amongst the members, and we could reach a decision before the end of the month, or we could do it in the new budget year. That's my proposal.
You know, the amounts here are not astronomical, but we do have to sit down and make sure everything else that we're taking out of this $46,000 before we say we'll spend 30, 35,000. We may not have enough to cover expenses we know are coming. So, I mean, that goes to your point too, that if we know ahead of time, get the proposal, and everybody says, let's go for this or that, or none of it or whatever, and look at our other obligated expenses, then we can give an honest answer, if we even can afford it.
That's my recommendation.
You know,
I agree with Cherie's recommendation. We don't have the information. I mean, we have to make an informed decision. You just said that we're not sure how much it would cost if we hired it out. So, but we really need to know, like, expanding on what Cherie said, is that how often will you use it? Who will use it? I mean, we're paying currently Nicholas hourly. So if Nicholas is working on it and we're paying him hourly, how many hours will it take him to run the software? Or if Gary, you're doing it and you're not charging for it, then that's certainly something in the plus direction of buying it versus hiring somebody to do it or having Nicholas do it. And if you're willing to do the initial work and have Nicholas review it, then that might be in the plus column. So I think that we need all the information so we can make an informed decision. And I also think that we could do that by email. We could, but we need to make an informed decision about it.
We have to balance the budget. I don't want to all of a sudden find out we've obligated $35,000. That leaves us $11,000 in the county budget that I already know we're probably going to need.
Isn't the conference coming up too? I mean,
I-
isn't that got to come out of this yet?
The
Travel?
conference, I know I can't make it, and
Oh.
Nicholas said he couldn't make it, so.
He couldn't
because
make it.
Yeah, I just had conflict issues. Otherwise, I'd be going.
Nicholas, you're still going though, aren't you? Or no? Wasn't Nicholas going?
Kevin was thinking about
Oh,
going
Kevin.
too.
I'm only raising it. I don't really care who's going, but if somebody is still going, that's just one more budget item
Yeah,
that's
which
going to
is
hit.
about $2,500 roughly.
And I'm not saying I'm opposed to buying it. I'm
Neither
just
am I.
saying
I'm just
we
saying.
don't have the information.
Well, that's
Right
what I was
now.
trying to say, what our mapping needs before I got cut off on here. I was trying to explain why we needed.
Right, but I
mapping.
think that we need the full analysis of what you estimate, how much would the use be? And who would be doing it?
The use is going to be in periods. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be a constant use. It's, just think, right now we have to think of what we would do with DuPont and what type of project that looks like. That's, all that stuff that I did by hand, I tried to rely on other stuff I did for DuPont, was a pain in the neck, okay, without the proper software. And it also wasn't done as well with accurate numbers. Ballpark numbers is really what that was doing. So that's the type of thing when we say, okay, we want to do something like this. I can't predict how many times or how many different projects we're going to have, because we're going to have, I suspect, maybe it may not even be in the next few months. It may be down the road as we talk more serious about DuPont. We also have the solar projects. There's likely going to be at least one, which is a potential of $1.5 million. It has to be for a capital project, is that correct? So I don't know, again, I don't know what we would want to use it for or what we could use it for. Would it be done with, and you're right, Sherry, if it's done with APB or ABB, the project, then we could, well, ABB doesn't have a real GIS guy, but anyway, yes, you could use hopefully whatever they have as software to go ahead and decide what makes sense.
I would say in addition to the point Cherie and Michelle were, I was on the Esri, you mentioned it could be 27. I would suggest that any of these you think you want to have, get a better feel for the exact price so we can do it budget-wise. Like when you do your research, you'll know it's better to look at the $2,700 one or the $3,000. I mean, you're between you and Nicholas, you could do it.
Again, it's yes, and we plan to do which packages, and it's going to take some discussion. I'd like to get Kevin in on it too, but right now he's incapacitated. And then also, would also like to get the advice of Glenn, since he plays in this field too, as we look at that. But what we're doing, the only reason going with Esri with anything else was because it has simpler interfaces, which makes it easier for whoever's doing the drawing to click this, use this, this, and this, okay? Some people are more comfortable. I'm not an expert GIS guy, so that's why there's an interface. That's why the difference of 10 to 20,000, having someone else do it with whatever software they use, you're going to have to hire somebody.
So you're saying we should approve either step 1, step 2, or step 3 after discussion, research. One of these should be approved.
Well, step 1, step 2 is too far out for us right now, and we can't justify the Vetro purpose.
Okay.
Okay, but then you'd have, the idea is get some of the data that we need to do projects, and that would be an ESRI type of thing. The other one, you may have noticed, DHCD is claiming we have our own GIS system and not to spend money on GIS. It's in their thing. I talked to the guy at Virginia Tech who runs their GIS system, and as long as you just pull down what they have, that's fine. But we can't use our shape files, which is, some of the economics, some of the students. It's also, we have a better idea exactly who's where on that. So we can't use our shape files. We have to use the national shape files that are there. So that's the database. So it won't be exact. And that was really DHCD's comment. It's not going to be perfect, but it gives you an idea.
So if I heard you correctly, the only one out of these 3, you're saying we have options to approve 1, 2, or 3. The only one you see, what you're saying, it looks like Esri is the only one we could make use of sooner.
Right.
We have the others, as you mentioned, we're not there yet to need them. So those decisions on those could come up in 3 months, 6 months. So really no decision on
Right.
those 2. So the only one you're really asking for is come up with
Step 1.
Step 1,
Right.
and find out if you can figure out the price of those packages. I'm not going to tell you, go for the cheapest. Figure out the price, and that's the one we should consider sooner rather than later, and not worry about the other 2, because those are going to hit the budget. And
Yeah.
like you said, we're not there yet. We don't need them now.
And I agree with that, yeah.
You never need them.
May never need them. So basically, if I'm hearing Gary and Nicholas correctly, The only one we really have to consider with whatever additional information Gary can provide is step one, Esri. We're not at the other two.
Gary was suggested, I guess, when you read step one, step two, with everything approved, you could look at it differently, but I don't think Gary was suggesting, spending that much money. I think he was more just going for the low entry one, the Esri, that suits our immediate need than the near future needs. And if things change, the only time you really need step two or step three is if our grant partners fail and we have to build this network and manage it ourselves.
All right, that makes sense, that we may never need them.
Yeah.
And so, really, the only one we have to consider is Esri.
But in fairness, what Gary was doing was going to the other companies, and we were kind of shocked. We got a little sticker shock at like the $30,000. We didn't think it was going to be that high. Originally, I think Gary thought it would be like $6,000. But with all the functionality that we're kind of looking at, it would be more, and that's why. What was doing due diligence, Gary's contacting other companies, and we're kind of going through some of the the dog and ponies goes with them. But Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, really it's the Esri package that takes care of the immediate needs and probably the future needs, if everything worked out as we planned.
All right,
So what Gary said a moment ago is that he wants to make the case for it now, but we may not use it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, for a couple of months. And you don't know what we'd want to use it for specifically right now, or could be using specifically right now. And we might be able to get ABB or APB to do that, and that you'd like to get Kevin's input and you'd like to get Glenn's input on it. So it seems to me, unless I got that wrong, that it's premature to make the decision. That's
Well-
what I don't get. I don't get why we're making this decision today.
Yeah, if we don't care about pushing this over to next year's budget, then that's fine. It doesn't have to be made today, but I would like to go ahead and do it, because I think you're wrong on one thing. I would like to get what we currently have, what's map fiber versus copper pathways on there, so we know what's in our county at this time, okay? Again, we won't have I don't know if we'll ever get the APB data. All we're going to get at some point is their map, and they may not show it on a granular scale. They may just show us shaded areas, which may be sufficient, but that doesn't necessarily, and then we'll have a house count, and as you pointed out, Sherry, they have a site which then says whether your house is covered or not when you sign up on there.
If I'm,
On the APB site. The ABB, we already have the data out there.
so basically, I come back to the point, the only one we have to, after Gary gets a little bit more information, packages and everything, the only one we really need to, if we want to consider it this month, before the end of the budget year, is Esri. The other two are off the table for now, because we may never need them.
What I didn't get is, why do we need Esri, and is it really the appropriate one? That's what I still don't get to it, because unless somebody can, like you just added something, you could check ABB, like you were very specific about technicalities that I did not pick up on, Gary. But what I don't understand is your expressed need for it now, because you said if it doesn't matter which budget it comes out of, then we could wait. And so is it really?
I mean, a week or two or a month is not going to kill us one way or the other.
But I mean, if you said you don't have an immediate, like you don't even know when we're going to need it.
But what I'm saying is, I would be working to get in the fiber and copper networks that are already defined there, okay? And then, again, we're not going to have, I don't know what type of information and how we get it from APB, okay? Quite frankly, we just don't know. Hopefully they'll give us shape files. We've given them our shape files, which has generated more potential homes that they can look at. And they essentially have confirmed all the areas that we pointed out. Yeah, those are extra homes that they did not have.
And that information is up on the FCC's website, on their maps. And that information is going to be
No,
updated.
no, that's not on the FCC. What map is that you're
That,
referring
all
to?
of that information is being placed on the FCC's website. And if you should probably go,
Okay.
here's what I am going to renew my recommendation. It's the same recommendation. If I am more than happy to review your proposal with more information, bake it, put it together, submit it
Right.
to the board, look at it, we can look at it before July 1, after July 1. I also encourage you to go to the FCC's website and look at all the mapping information that's up there now for Lancaster County. You can take APB's Exhibit A, it lists all the census block IDs and all the census block group IDs, and then you can go to the FCC's maps and look through everything that's up there and where they're going to serve.
Right, and I agree,
And-
I have done that. And what happens is, there's things where the FCC maps are wrong. And
Of
which
course.
We've corrected that, and we have that information.
Right, but the FCC is right in the middle of redoing their mapping. All of the providers are coming in and providing new information in the new format. It's going to get better and better and better, and it's just hard for me to believe that Lancaster County is going to go out and buy some software and improve on this process that's been going on for a very long time by companies that are heavily regulated, that have just received all this money. I mean, what did you say, 2,700 locations, unserved locations in Lancaster County to be served by APB, that they are going to have to confirm that they're serving, and they're serving them at the 1 gigabit level. So what is it that we're going to do, that we're going to be able to do better and have the time to do and pay for? It's just, look, I mean, if you guys want to vote on this, go right ahead. I do not feel I have enough information to support your request. If you want to put something more together of why this is a good investment, great. And I'm happy to look at it whenever you put it together, and if one of you guys want to vote before July 1, happy to do that too. But otherwise, I simply don't have enough information or feel that this is a good idea at this time, based upon the information that's out there
I don't think we
already.
have enough to vote on it today.
Then I would recommend that you and Nicholas put your heads together and put, what is the proposal?
Okay.
And circulate it. I mean, and I would spend some time on the FCC's website.
Yeah,
Look-
and as I said, it's not that I haven't ignored the FCC. Matter of fact, that's how we got where, what we subtract out as served areas, okay? But what I'm saying is, we have collected our own data, we have student data, we have economic data that the FCC does not have. Now, you may not care about the economic data, you may not care about where the students.
I don't think anybody's saying that. I'm just saying, put together the proposal
Okay.
and put that information in there and present the value. And we may be thrilled to buy the software. I just, right now, sitting here, based upon the information that I've heard, there's no way I could
Okay,
support it.
okay.
Want to put that motion out, that we delay?
I don't
There-
think,
there's
it-
not
It doesn't
for
need a motion.
No,
yeah.
no, recommendation,
It's
the
just-
additional
There's just
information.
nothing
Yeah, there's
going
no
on.
decision. So
Right.
they can just come back to us.
all right, come back with it.
It's just up to them.
Any other comments, Nicholas?
No.
Okay. All right, that's it. That's it on the agenda. Anything else that's missing? That has to be discussed today, can't wait till the 14th?
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
Okay, then, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Kevin. Any second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, we are done.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Nicholas.
Thank you, Nicholas, and it's still light out.
I'm not even going to try to turn you off.